Are you tired of not feeling like you're that bitch? Well, you've come to the right place. Welcome to the podcast, That Bitch Energy, where we're all about tuning in to your highest self and growing presence, awareness, and consciousness while keeping it all fun, relatable, and grounded. Let's get into this next episode and embody that bitch energy from within. Ain't nobody seen a bitch like me. I'ma come up on ya. Ain't nobody warned ya about a bitch like this. Tuned into my power. Juicy is my hour. Welcome, Tanja. I'm so glad to have you on That Bitch Energy. Thank you for being here and taking the time to be here with me. I feel honored and I can't wait to learn from you today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for everybody out there that is going to be listening to this. Very honored to be here today and really excited to get this conversation started.
Me too. I always start my podcast with the question, what makes you feel most in tune with your that bitch energy, aka your highest self?
Ooh, so many things. So I'll do my top 3 or 5. The first one is nature, trees,
Mm.
hugging trees, walking in the forest, not having my phone, no screens, none of that. And the second one is when I'm dancing, when I'm at Zumba class, or just before we started recording this episode, we actually had a dance session, you and me. So that was divine timing, wasn't it? And
Yes.
the third one for sure is when I'm working with clients. So when I have a client call, meanwhile, but also afterwards, I always do like a happy dance because they're like the most amazing people in the world and they inspire me so deeply. Like I truly believe that it's a co-creation and that we learn from each other. So I really love that. And then number 4, I have been a digital nomad for a couple of years now. I've left Germany in 2017. So when I meet amazing human beings, entrepreneurs, spiritual digital nomads, people like you, then I get very into like my higher self energy. And the last one, again, is related to that one, is when I join a community, a ceremonial cacao ceremony, or when I'm just doing yoga. Like anytime I connect with my body, and the best version of myself is when I'm in that energy.
Mm. I can feel that you mentioned how meeting people like me and dancing and with your clients or in your like doing the happy dance beforehand. I can feel that you were lighting up when we were dancing. So I want to say thank you for just being you because I can feel that energy come out or like I don't know if it's like just spread. It's like I can just read the frequency, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So thank you for just being you. It was
Thank
really
you.
beautiful. And because this is our first time meeting for anyone wondering like do we know each other, well, this is our first time meeting. I found her on Instagram and I loved her work and I really wanted to have her on. So your energy shines through platforms like Instagram, and I feel like that's so beautiful about um, social media. There is some stuff that's like ugly and hardcore, but
Mhm.
or edgy, and but then there's the beautiful side where you get to meet like-minded individuals like you, and who we love to connect to our bodies, and we love to move our bodies and heal through movement. And I just think, and mind body connection, however that may look to either of us. So thank you for sharing what makes you feel like your highest self. And you're that bitch energy. I love that one. It's real spicy. I like to make it fun and spicy. So um, I wanted to know about your journey because I was reading how you had some some the issues you were dealing with, and then you found mind body connection and you mentioned how it helped you and healed a lot of those issues you were having with your health. I'd love to know more about your journey from your own words.
Of course. So I guess it started in my teenage years already when I was just stressed out from, a lot of homework and pressure that came from the system, not so much from like my family or my parents. And it started with like intense migraines, and I had that for a couple of weeks and it just disappeared. So I never gave it any attention. I was resting a lot. I was in my dark room. Like it was really horrible. I was like, wow. And I didn't know anything about personal development until probably year 2016, when I was stuck in a really shitty job in Berlin as a middle and high school teacher. And looking back, I think that was the first time I was burnt out. I probably had depressive episodes looking back. I had insomnia, I had gut issues, like I was bloated, like 4 months pregnant. If I knew the next day I had to teach a certain class, I couldn't sleep. I was mostly teaching people that had parents that struggled with alcohol abuse, drug abuse, like those kind of things. So it was really hard to handle. And, there are people that are really amazing at that, but like I came straight from university and just got back from the US as well, where I was working as an au pair. That's why I know the US so well. And I think I had IBS issues, irritable bowel syndrome, for probably 15 years. Getting hot talking
Mm.
about it. And it's like a lot. And that was still manageable, right? It kept on going away with like tinctures, and it kept on coming and going, but you could still like live an okay life, let's say. It didn't restrict me as much. And in 2020, when the pandemic hit, I had my second burnout, and I had just started as an online German teacher because in 2017 I had quit my job, jumping back in the timeline, and went to travel the world, went to backpack. I went to Australia. I had a customer service job there. I worked in 3 languages. I did 3 chats and emails at the same time. After school, I did a nanny job. I was dog sitting. I was doing all the things. I had like 60, 70-hour weeks. And my goal was just to save money and go back to Mexico, which I did. And I met a lot of digital nomads. I was like, I want to do what you do. And they were all like into IT and that kind of stuff. And I was like, that's just not me. And back then it wasn't so common. So I came across somebody that told me about teaching German online. And since I have a master's of education, I was like, I'm going to give the teaching another shot, because it's a completely different story teaching foreigners how to speak a foreign language than being in a classroom, right? But that led to my second burnout, because I had like 25 video calls a week, no breaks. Like sometimes I had 4 hours of video calls with just 30 seconds bathroom break, literally me running in between of video calls, and still, barely making ends meet. Just in Mexico, it was okay because the living costs were really low back then that I had. And I think that led to also not having invested in proper office equipment when I went to Spain and moved there at the end of 2020, led to that as well, probably. But I always thought it was the chair. It was that led to low back pain suddenly. I never had back issues in my life before, and hip issues, and that grinding sensation. Like my whole body was just
Mm.
cracking and hurting all the time. And I remember I was doing downward dog in a yoga class online with a friend, and had shooting pain all the way up my bottom. And from that point on, I started having what I would be calling, looking back, chronic health issues. And that turned into a whole ripple effect of doctor visits, chiropractic, physical therapy. Like You name it, I had tried it, and it was a very hopeless and frustrated journey. I thought my life was
Mm.
over, and I was just beginning of 30s. So it was tough. It turned into many, many other symptoms. And I really wanted to build up my life coaching business because I was incognito already coaching in 2020 in my teaching job. And yeah, I really wanted to make that a profession and the business. And I was doing confidence work and finding your purpose and stuff like that. So, not helping other people heal just yet, because you can't really do that when you can't help yourself, right? And I was really living between my bed and my laptop. That was my life for a good 1.5 years, I would say.
Mm. So you were in so much pain you felt like you couldn't like get out. Is that what was happening?
Yes. And I did not know who to turn to, what to try anymore. I was so hopeless, frustrated, and scared. I literally thought, well, I'm just going to be living in, like, I don't know, an old people's home or something like that by
Oh.
the age of 40. I could barely make myself food. Like, standing up was really hard, sitting was hard. Everything was just so tough, and my life was so tiny. And I was very
Mm.
isolated in Spain because, I'm a country girl. I like to live on the countryside, but I like to have access to social life. And one of my friends wouldn't even be coming over anymore. Like, I lost social contacts. It was a mess. And
Mm.
one day I came across a business coach. She's not a business coach anymore, but she said she tried to sell me a group program, and I was very interested. But I felt in my heart that I needed to take care of my health first. And I said, I cannot invest in this. I need to sort out my health because I can't build a business whilst I can't even help myself. I need to learn how to manage the pain. That was my goal. I want to learn how to manage it so I can then be a better daughter, a better friend, a better cousin, a better aunt, a better coach, a better teacher, right?
Mhm.
Because my capacity was really tiny. It was really small. And she recommended me to somebody that also doesn't work online anymore. It's very interesting. And she introduced me to the work of Peter Levine, the polyvagal theory, the mind body connection. And it was just the start of somatic healing. I did a whole course for 9 months with her, and coaching sessions every 2 weeks. And at the same time, I was working with a spiritual mentor as well. So I did get better by probably 50% or something before other symptoms were showing up. I had like carpal tunnel, tendonitis in my wrists and my shoulders and upper back. And I had this sensation in my bladder where I had to pee every 10 minutes. It was horrible. Like, that was one of the
Mm.
last symptoms, combined with later on tinnitus, where your ears are making clicking sounds. I didn't even know it was tinnitus back then. It was just this open close sensation.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I made a list at some point with all the symptoms. I don't have it here right now, but like, there's so many things that came up. But the changing
Mm.
symptoms that I learned through John Sarno and the work of Nicole Sachs is a sign that things are moving, and that for your brain, what you're doing is new. So it means danger. So it keeps firing pain signals, and it wants to get your attention. And it definitely got mine. And when I sat on the sofa of literally a new friend I met somehow online, I don't even remember how, I sat on her sofa for the first time. We just met up because I was in town. And she said, could what you're experiencing be TMS? And I'm like, what's that? And it's psychosomatic pain, emotional pain. You can also call it tension myositis syndrome. And I researched it. I found the work of Tonzano and Nicole Sachs and other people. And that is when all the puzzle pieces were falling together, and that's what got me from 50 or 60% being better to really 100%. So since
Wow.
2023, it was probably between 90 and 95%. I'm pretty rational sometimes. I'm a German. So yeah, it was a lot.
Wow. There's so much there that had showed up. Did you ever figure out um did you ever figure out maybe what it was, like what you needed to work through or feel through? Um was it like one thing or was it multiple things? I'm sure it wasn't one, but I thought I would just ask um if you're comfortable in
So
sharing. And
of course, I'm like an open book. It was a couple of things. Like it was a mix of things. Like really, a lot of emotional root causes, like tons. Inner
Mhm.
child work, especially. My mom is on the narcissistic spectrum. We have a really good relationship now. Just saying. As she's
Good.
sometimes more on the spectrum, and sometimes you don't notice it, right? So it's interesting. My parents have an interesting dynamic. There was a lot of yelling and screaming. They are amazing people, but they probably should have gotten divorced 30 years ago or something. And they're still together.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Good.
Bless them. Yes.
Maybe that's good now, maybe not. I'm not sure.
Mm. I mean, at some point they sat there and they said, you know what, Tanya, it works for us. So, you know,
Mm.
and I said, that's true. So I need to accept and set boundaries. So boundaries was a huge one for me. Um, I used to wake up in the morning and be on my phone right away and respond to client messages and requests to changes and rescheduling and all these things. So that needed to change on a practical level. I discovered through writing therapy that I'm an overachiever. Well, I was an overachiever. I had overachieving parts and patterns. And I always thought I was lazy. That blew my mind. I also had a therapist pointed
Mm.
out several ones actually. So that was really interesting to reparent this whole go big or go home mentality. So a 10-minute walk is nothing. It has to be 1.5 hours. And then obviously when you are struggling with health issues, there is no walk for 1.5 hours. It was the corner store and I was already exhausted and my hip was hurting. So back home it was. Now I can do everything again. But yeah, it was also being really,
Yay!
yay, being really unhappy with my career back then because I just knew that I had so much more to offer to the world than language classes for an online language school that was highly underpaying me. It was always different people because that's how the class was set up. And the system was that you
Mhm.
always learn from new teachers. And I like to have relationships. I thrive
Yeah.
going deep with people. So that was not very aligned either. And I dropped that. I had my own students and, also pivoted into coaching. And up to this day, I still do teaching. It's just such an amazing balance between doing both because I get bored just doing one thing as much as I love being a chronic pain and burnout mentor. And yeah, so lots and lots of different things. Perfectionism was another personality trait that I explored that showed up. Like not putting things out there in my business unless it was the perfectly curated graphic, or I procrastinated on my brand colors forever because I did all these things by myself. I didn't want to hire somebody
Yeah.
and then not be happy with the results. So control was another thing that I had to work through. Like
Mm.
asking for help other people as well, like those kind of things. There was a lot behind it. And it doesn't stop, it's like an onion that you keep peeling. Even now that I
Forever.
don't have
Mhm.
any physical health issues anymore, I keep peeling the onion. Comes in layers.
Yes. And sometimes, oh, sorry. What was that you said?
It comes in layers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like it feels like you get to like a peak. You're like, I'm here, like I feel so great. I feel so good. And then something shows up and you're like, oh, that's really tough. And it's a forever peeling back of the onion. And I think thank you for being so vulnerable and open in your journey about your journey. And when I was hearing you talk about you were overworking, was there something that you felt inside that you needed to prove? Like, was there like, I need to work, I need to work all these hours to feel like I'm enough? Or what is it that you were, if you've ever gotten to the bottom of it, what was it that showed up for you that was like, oh, I'm doing this because of this?
So I think it stems from, like, none of my family members are entrepreneurs. So it stemmed from, you got to work hard in order to make it. Right? Like, that for
Mm-hmm.
sure played a role. And then the role of self worth, like, I was highly underpaid. So, you know, I did have to look at that and charge my worth. But also at the same time, I'm grateful because I didn't plan to become self employed. And the language school was really the entry point into that journey. So, on the other side, I'm grateful for that as well. I think there was definitely behind as well something like I'm not enough, right? Like my mom being OCD and having narcissistic patterns that influenced that whole I'm not enough. Like, however I was doing things, it wasn't good enough. And I really had to learn and reparent that. And for example, about cleaning, right? Because back then during the pandemic, I was living in their holiday apartment in Spain, because I didn't want to have an apartment share with people that I didn't know. And it was a little bit hard, deciding also where to go, like in a global pandemic. I got back from Mexico and was pretty glad about that, because I spent the first couple of months there. So, yeah, I had to learn to, for example, clean for my own standards and do things for myself and not to please somebody else. So people pleasing was another pattern that was beyond behind all that overworking as well. Like, feeling bad about saying no, guilty about saying no, and those kind of things. And then also, I think it's a slippery road sometimes, because on one side, you love what you're doing, and on the other side, um, like too much of anything isn't great as well.
Yes. And that's so common with the hustle culture. And I caught myself, and I can relate with you in feeling like I need to prove myself. And because of my self worth underlying, I didn't think I think I thought the only thing I had to offer was to be there for others, to do things for others, and also to have all this stuff or things to prove my worth and to feel worthy for some reason. So I thank you for sharing that because it reminded me of my also journey with self worth. And it's as women, I notice a lot of women have a people pleasing tendency because, for example, let's say you have a brother and he's like wild and I have a brother, but he's older than me, so this is not my story. But like, I find it common that if there's a girl in the family and a boy, that the boy can be like wild and messy and loud. And but if the little girl is acting like that, she's not getting the same like love and attention for being that way. It's more like tone it down, sit down, take care of your brother, take care of me, take care. Like it's kind of like I've seen it commonly play out in friends and clients that as a girl, we have different standards to parents, especially when we were kids, like, 30 years ago. And the times are changing where we're recognizing that maybe we should be more open to girls being exactly who they are and accepting them and showing them love and not holding back that love. And we can do that for ourselves when we are strong, confident enough to say no, enough to say, that's not my thing. This is my thing. And being proud to stand in that truth and reparenting ourselves through that. Because I struggle with that to this day, and I'm still working through that. And you reminded me of that when you were saying the people pleasing and the self worth. So um, let's say like I'm your client and I'm struggling with saying no to people. How would you help me? What are some things you could give, like a practice, or is there anything that you would help me through to get to the point to where I could say no?
Many things. First, I would explore with you what is emotionally behind that saying no. Like, what is your fear, for example, of saying no? Like, what's the worst case scenario that could happen?
I think about when I couldn't say no ever. I was scared of being attacked, like especially to men. Like, oh, they could kill me. Like death is my I thought of, oh, I'm going to die if I tell them no because I'm not being the good little girl that I was told I should be.
Very interesting. And then I would ask how that feels in your body. And I would invite you to close your eyes or lower your gaze. And just right now, if you're open to it, have your hands in your lap, pointing upwards, open, or pointing downwards if you feel like you need grounding. Upwards is receiving, downwards is grounding. And then I would just invite you to observe what's going on in your body right now. And just do a quick body scan from your head slowly down to your toes. Just noticing, observing. Seeing which or feeling which sensations are coming up. And then just letting your attention glide further down in your body until you're reaching the toes. And then see if you can invite in some stability. For example, where your body is touching the chair you're sitting on, or the floor underneath your feet, and knowing that you can always come back to that sense of stability or groundedness. And noticing how that feels in your body. And then bringing a scene to mind where you wanted to say no, but you were afraid. And just allowing that to be felt for now. And if that is too much or too soon, you can always come back to the stability, the chair underneath your body, or how it feels that your feet are meeting the ground. And you can swing back between the two. Each time increasing your capacity to feel a little bit more. And then swinging back to that stability, that resource we've created. And imagining saying no, putting your shoulders upright, and just whispering no or saying it in your mind for now. No. And see what's coming up in your body. And then slowly finding your own way back. Noticing what your body most needs. Maybe it's a sip of water, maybe it's a hug. Maybe it's something completely different. Knowing that all you have been feeling and are feeling is valid.
Thank you.
You're welcome. How was your experience, if you'd like to share?
Absolutely. It was great. And when I say great, I mean um, it moved. It moved around my body. And when I say it, I mean the sensation of tuning into me not feeling confident to say no, that sensation, which was showing up in my shoulders, which is interesting because it used to show up here.
Mm.
It's now moving today um, in a different area, but now it's my shoulders. And as we went it just moved to my tummy, and then it kind of dissolved away. And usually, when I think of saying no, in the past, when I've done any like work on that, it's been so focused on the throat.
Mm.
So my experience today makes me feel so excited that it's moving, like permanently, versus um, stuck in my throat each time.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. That's so powerful because, like, the throat
mhm.
chakra here is speaking your truth, right?
Oh yeah, my first episodes of that bitch energy, I was like shaking, and my
Wow.
throat was like tight. Um, which is why I'm on this journey of podcasting. And it all connects to saying no. It also connects to saying yes
Yes.
to the things I do love. And it reminded me of why I'm here and why I do this work and why I love to be in community with someone like you and that can remind me and support me and be surrounded by beautiful sisters. And so that whole experience brought that up for me. Um,
Beautiful.
is is joy, being proud of self and community and of you for holding space for me too. So I want to say thank you for
You're
giving me
welcome.
that joy today.
Beautiful. There's a couple of
Yeah,
more things I can tell you if you're open to it as well. I would go back to the
100%.
earliest experience that you have where you had an experience where you know we're not accepted, and then also find experiences and give your brain evidence where you know was respected, because giving the brain evidence of it working to say no and being accepted brings in that safety as well, and then obviously working with
Mm.
the body. Another one that I would tell you, I'm just gonna stand up for a second. It's a video, right? So I would go back. Everybody's gonna see my outfit, but that's okay. And I would practice. I would put one hand on here and I would put one hand up. And I would practice that boundary and be like, no, no.
Mm.
Keep tuning into the body after each no. And also experimenting with, different levels of sound. So very quietly whispering it, see how that feels in the body, and then keep getting it louder and louder. And this is
Mm.
exactly what I did with a client the other day, because as a six-figure business owner, she and a mom of two kids, she really struggled with setting boundaries there and saying no. So we really
Mm.
practiced that. And
That's
there was
so
another
powerful.
client last year as well, also a business owner, and we practiced that as well because she had to take care of her dad and he was very demanding from the sounds of it. So we really established those boundaries and practiced saying that no, like even in front of the mirror, and after every no, tuning into the body, closing your eyes, tracking the sensations, feeling it. And that is how you keep creating that capacity and make yourself and your nervous system and your brain feel safe to say no. And then I would recommend practicing with people that are not going to give you the hardest time at first. Um,
Yes.
and then,
Family, well, maybe not family. Friends.
and yeah, and then keeping those no's, like, raising the standard, let's say, and keep going to the people that might give you backlash. But the ones that aren't respecting your boundaries are the ones that have been abusing you not having them, or not being able to, or not having the confidence to say no. So when
Yes.
we
I'm
rebel,
so glad you named that. Yeah.
gives us information. So that's how I would go at it. There's so many different ways we could go into, but that is what I would do with a client.
Mm,
And then homework
mm.
a little bit.
Yes. Practicing in the mirror,
Yeah.
practicing with people. That's good. Those are really good tips and practices and transformational things to do. Um, I like that you did the no. I haven't seen the like with the hand, and I love that. I'm gonna try that for myself. Um, because I still feel urges of anxiety and fear on saying my needs. And I think it's gonna be a forever job for me to like continue to um speak my truth. And I know where it stems from. It's definitely my family. Isn't everything from our family? And or at least from our
They're the
childhood at some point.
Yeah, they're our best teachers.
Yeah, and I honor that journey. I think it's beautiful to have had a journey where I have to unlearn the toxic system I was working from. Toxic for me, which I think should be it's probably toxic for most, but um anyone not standing in their truth is not beneficial to everybody involved. And so I appreciate you giving me those practices, and I can't wait to try them. And it reminded me of I've done a practice where I yell like, yes, 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 and then no, no, no. Excuse me. I need a drink of water now. See, my no made me cough because that's where I
Mhm.
need the most help. That's where I need the most work.
Yeah.
Um, but I haven't. Anyway, I want to get to thank you for sharing that because it's so needed, not just for me. I'm sure someone else who might be watching too or listening that maybe has never thought about, oh, do I struggle with saying no? Do I struggle with saying yes? Do I struggle with my needs in general? Have I thought about that before?
Yeah.
And just starting there, noticing when you do get in a predicament or scenario, that's step one, or at least it was for me, is noticing like, oh, shoot, I get tight in my stomach, tight in my throat, and I pretty much stutter around saying no to people when I know I'm safe to, but my body doesn't think it's safe to. Um, Step one, yeah. So I appreciate that practice, and um, I'm just gonna let that sink in for a second because that was really good. And now I'm like focused on that. I'm like, well, what else can we do for because then it goes into like your self-worth. Like, why can't you say no?
Right.
Why can't you take up space and say your needs?
Yeah.
And
So what
that's
came
another
up
thing.
for what came up for a client there was very interesting because she was like, I'm gonna be letting down other people. I'm gonna be letting down my clients. Like she had all those last minute client requests to I don't know, write a new newsletter or whatever it was. And it just isn't possible that short notice, or you're going to be working at 10, 11 p.m. and that's not great. For some people it works, right? They're night owls. But if you have two kids and you have to get up in the morning, then that's not great. And it also doesn't allow you to wind down. And I have my own experience with the no practice as well. I had to practice that for a couple of years as well, and still, I sometimes get offers, where I'm like, "Ooh, I don't know if I want to do that," and then you have to say no. It's like that.
Yeah.
What I shared the other day with a friend, I was like, it really annoys me when practitioners don't have their pricing visible, and then you ask about it, and they tell you, and it's not in your budget, and you're like, no, I have to say no, right? So
Yeah.
that is really like creating that barrier. Even I know for a lot of people out there, it works psychologically that they want to show you the value first. But for me, it's just
Mm.
misleading. I'm a German,
Yeah.
I'm so transparent. And yeah, then it makes me not even want to inquire about it. And I had that situation with the strawberry man in Argentina, on in Patagonia at the lake, in my favorite place. And he sold strawberries, and I was like, how much may they be, right? Because like getting them sold right at the lake, and being a foreigner, I thought he's just going to completely rip me off. But I was like, all right, I'm going to be brave, and I can always say no, and I'm going to practice this no. So I went up to him and I was like, how much are those strawberries? And let me tell you, there were so many women around me, like literally, that were like, ooh, how amazing. Oh, we take some. And they heard the price and they were like, oh, yeah, oh, wow. Like it wasn't like super cheap. It was really, for some people, it would have been maybe expensive, or for some people, cheap. I
Right.
mean, I try not to use those terms and use rather, premium, or I don't see the value in it, because money is something that I'm still doing work on as well, the relationship with money. And I told the
Yeah.
guy, I was like, why don't you have a sign? You're going to take that barrier away from people. And I'm sure more people are going to think like me. And all the women around me bought the strawberries. He was out of strawberries in 2 seconds. And also,
Wow.
other people seeing me enjoying them was great. So just a little bit of like business stuff thrown in, and
Yeah.
saying no in that regard, because it has to align with the
Right.
values as well, right? Like that's what it's all about.
Right. That's such a good practice when like going to a market or going to a store and well, not so much a store because they kind of leave you alone. But like if they're like coming, I shouldn't say bothering. If they come to you and like, "Do you need help?" And it's like, "No." Like that's a good practice right there. I don't need help.
Yeah,
Um the strawberry, I'm going to be brave and ask the price and say no if it's not what I think is of value to
exactly. I
get
might
those
not see
strawberries.
the Yeah, I might not see the value of eating strawberries at the lake, but let me tell you, I saw the value in it. And this was 2 years ago as well. But it always comes to mind when I'm talking.
Mm.
It's like small practices that you can do in your daily life to increase that capacity in your nervous system to say no, and have your body feel okay with it. Maybe not fully safe yet, but okay. And like letting that sink in and be like, oh, all right, I'm really proud of myself. And I can write it down tonight in my journal, in my 5+ wins, because this is also something
Yes.
that really helps to increase confidence as well.
Yes. And you mentioned earlier how when you start to say no, that those people who might be upset at your no's, at your saying no, then they were using you and abusing you before that. And I was like, yes, when you said that, because I loved that. And I've noticed that in my life. I never said no. And I set up for a while. I do now. I'm a knower. I'm like, no, no, no now. But for a long time, I wasn't. I was in this lifetime of yes to everyone until recently. But when I started changing to, I wouldn't say changing, remembering my worth and saying my worth and speaking my truth, I noticed a lot of people in my corner getting upset or saying I'm difficult or saying I'm mean, and when I'm literally just saying no. And I want to speak to you about that on how do you, excuse me, how do you, let's say a client comes to you with, but now I have no one, or, but they're saying that, but that's not true. Like, I don't want to, I don't want to lose everyone by saying no. And what would you gift them with information on those thoughts, on those insecure thoughts?
So that's a tricky one because when it's friends and family, and also, like with clients, I feel like we can always be like, well, the not aligned ones are going to make space for the better ones, right? But I would even use that. I would again invite the person to connect with their body and feel into how it's feeling to lose these people. And then also, it's tough, but sitting in the void and feeling that void as well that you're in. And then also reminding yourself from a rational perspective that the worst case scenario that our brain is bringing up, because it's always scanning for danger, is usually not going to happen. And if it is happening, it's usually not as bad. And then also trusting that you're resourced, because the people that truly love you, they might be temporarily put off or annoyed or upset or whatever they're feeling, but that is their emotions and they are responsible for their emotions, and you are not, because all you did was protecting your own peace, your own values, your own worth. So how they are responding is not your responsibility. And the people that truly love you, parents and like, very, very good friends, I would say that it's rather unlikely, hopefully, that they would be turning away. My best friend, for example, that I've been having for 20 years, I can say no, and it's cool. And she can say
And
no
it's
to me. Like,
hard.
we had a misunderstanding today, and it was so interesting because there were so many of those this week, our podcast being rescheduled and all those changes. So hard for
It's
German.
like,
No, I'm kidding.
yeah.
And all that spontaneity, you gotta have capacity for that too. So we wanted to go for a walk before this episode, and I didn't check my phone, and the Wi-Fi in the kitchen isn't great, so my message didn't send. So she didn't drive up to my house to go for a walk, but instead went to the river, and I was putting my need a little bit on the back burner and just eating something quick instead of making myself like my really nice salad, because I wanted to be ready when she comes pick me up to go for a walk. And she never showed up. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to look at my phone. And I saw the message and she's like, well, am I supposed to come? And then it was too late. She was already at the river. But like, sometimes there's misunderstandings that can happen as well. It has to be a clear yes or no as well. Like, that is also really important. And then I always talk to her that fine line between when I decide if I say yes or no, that fine line of like, is that really going to make a big difference to me to do this for this person, for example? There's this other extreme as well where we just cater to ourselves and our own needs, but like, we are human beings that also need connection. So I always ask myself, is this really gonna be so like restrictive, or is that really gonna put me in a weird place if I say yes now?
Right.
Obviously, if it's something that happens all the time, it needs to be explored, like you and me were doing before. I'm seeing the other side of the spectrum nowadays in today's world as well, and that doesn't work either. So I've actually been going a little bit even in the other direction. And with my parents, because I'm currently visiting them in Germany for a couple of weeks, I said Sunday is Tanja Day. So that means my mom can't ask me to explain the iPhone to her because she got a new iPhone. So I've sent her one, and she's over 70. So here we go. But she's doing amazing. Not on a Sunday though. Sunday is Tanya Day. Don't ask me. If she does ask me and it's like a 5-minute job, okay, whatever. And I'm still making the meals for the family. But that's it. Everything else on a Sunday, do not speak to me. Obviously, yes,
It's a
speak to me,
Tanya
but
day.
don't ask me to do stuff because otherwise I'm just running from up and down in the house doing everything for everybody. And it just doesn't work because then, I'm always on the back burner. So I think there needs to be a balance. And that balance is
Mm.
different for everybody.
And that helps prevent burnout. And your whole message is having the ability to make the boundary to your parents, to your friends, family, work of this is my day. Love ya. I will help you every other day. And that's if if that ever hurt anybody to make them leave, that would be irrational. That would be ridiculous. And to not allow Tanya a day. You
Exactly.
are allowed that. You are allowed that day. And who's to say? And here's a big word I think that we're so afraid of is being called you're selfish.
Hmm.
It's like
Yeah,
why does selfish have to be this negative? Maybe I am selfish on Sundays. This is my day and I claim it for
yeah,
me, for my abilities to show up better tomorrow.
exactly.
And the next day and the next day and the next day. So being selfish is not all it's cracked up to be negatively. There's good in selfishness as well. And so
For
you
sure.
reminded me of that when you said Sundays are Tanya's day. And someone who was used to taking advantage of you might hear that and be like, "Ugh, you're so selfish," because they want you on that day. They need something from you
Yeah,
instead of just saying, "You know what? You deserve that. I love you. You deserve it." And sometimes it takes shadow work for the other person too. Um, and also how we express our needs. There's
for sure.
always stuff to learn in that regard as well. So I thank you for sharing that. And I
Yeah.
love that you have a Tanya day.
Oh, it
We
was
all
very
want our day.
It was very spontaneously. I think it was coming for quite a while because, like, I spent the last couple of weekends. It was my dad's birthday. I was the one running around doing everything, and it was just a lot accumulated. So when I
Mhm.
got up that day, I was like, I just made that up in the moment because I spoke to a friend I met when I was 13 and we didn't have contact anymore. It's so random. And I said, you know what? I just want to chill more. He's like, go for it, do it. And I'm like, I don't know when. And I kept on pushing it off. And then now it's Sunday, Tanya's day. But for example, this weekend, I'm going to have to move it to half a Saturday because I have plans and things that are going to bring me joy. So it's not that black and white thing as well. And for the listeners out there, it doesn't have to be a whole day either, right? Like I work with a lot of mothers and really busy entrepreneurs. If all you're having is half an hour a day, for example, then that's valid as well, right? And if you don't have that half an hour, I think we need to talk.
Yes, hit up Tanya because she's going to help you.
Yeah, it doesn't have to take a
with
2 hour
with
morning routine.
exactly. I can't imagine not having 30 minutes to myself, but there was a time when I felt like I didn't have time. But turns out I actually did. So sometimes it's our mindset. It's like we just think we don't, but we're putting time into the things that don't fill our cup. So
Yes.
I like that you said that. I like that you said that because it reminded me of there was a time I thought I didn't have time, but I actually did have time. But I was using, or I was abusing some of that time to do whatever. I don't even remember what I was doing, but drinking. I was drinking. I was actually doing the opposite of helping. I was harming. And for me, it was harmful. I'm not saying alcohol is harmful to all. If that's your jam and it works for you, it just for me is very harmful for my mental health and my
Yeah.
overall health.
And the brain,
Um,
it is harmful to everybody's brain. That is definitely a
absolutely.
study that I've been seeing on Instagram the other day from, I don't remember who it was. I've been living alcohol free for 2.5 years now. So we are vibing on
Good
that.
for you. Me
Yeah.
too. I'm 2.5 years.
Oh, wow. So we stopped at the same time.
Actually, 2 years and no, a little over 2.5 because I will
Me
be
too.
3 years. Oh, yay!
Two
I'll be
years,
three
eight
years
months.
in November. So we stopped at the same time.
Pretty much.
Sober sisters.
Yes, for sure. Love that. Yeah. So it's everybody's choice.
Yeah.
It's something very personal. It does damage
Yes,
every brain out there,
absolutely.
though. So I have to say that.
Yeah, there's evidence on it not doing good for our brains and our
Yeah.
bodies. And um, again, I honor everyone's journey and I don't want to say, you're wrong, you're bad, because I don't necessarily feel that you're wrong or bad. I just, um, having the knowledge helps us make our best decisions for ourselves. So knowing that it isn't benefiting our brain health, like thought wise, literal, physically wise, like it's deteriorating at the brain, and the liver and all these things. It's good to know those things. And also, I'm not going to shame those individuals who want to continue because I've been there and I know. And, but with that, I do want to say, what's one thing that you can leave the listener with today to help with burnout? Because we're on the topic of burning out. Um, One thing that can, let's say they've never even thought about being burnout. What's one thing you can leave them with that to start the change?
Mm. So, what came to mind first is I would do an energy audit, and I have been
Mhm.
doing this as a summer reset bonus in my online healing retreat. That is over, so I'm not selling here. And we wrote down, it was an audio training of mine, and we wrote down what is giving you energy and what is draining your energy. And this is where I would start, like doing that audit. And then also inviting in that awareness generally, like educating yourself on pages from, my page, for example, is heading more towards that direction right now as well. I've been sharing a lot about chronic symptoms and I've been sharing a lot about chronic pain. And I want to share more about burnout as well. So I have a post on my Instagram further down that says, I think, 10 signs of burnout or something. And that is really great to create that awareness as well and be like, all right, how many of those am I taking? And no shame around that, right? Um, it happens to the best of us.
That's right. It does. I want to say thank you, and I'm going to tag your page and other information on you on the show notes. So if anyone is interested on finding Tanya and her work and you feel you need support on your journey of feeling burnt out, and in this hustle culture it is very common, but I do see the world tipping over to understanding that we need rest. So I do also want to say I'm so glad about that, and there's always work to be done. So Tanya can support you. I felt so grounded in the practice we did earlier on saying no, and I believe it's so powerful. You could rewind and do the practice for yourself. And from there, reach out. reach out to either of us to get any help or resources that you need, and we will guide you in the right direction. And I just want to say thank you for your time, Tanja. It was so wonderful, and I can't wait to have another episode with you in the future.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Yes. That is a wrap for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining me here on That Bitch Energy, the podcast. It would mean so much to me if you subscribe, share, like, follow, however it is you want to support, so I can keep making these episodes for you, because we're here to raise this planet together. It means the world so that we can reach other baddies just like you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing yourself by listening to the Soul Filling podcast. I'll see you in the next one. Ain't nobody seen a bitch like me. I'ma come up on ya. Ain't nobody warned ya about a bitch like this.